Somebody recently commented to me about how I am only knitting hats right now, and they are not wrong. I am definitely in my hat era. But I started thinking about this sort of comment, and I started to think about, like, why am I only doing hats? And there's quite a few reasons why. So these are some of the reasons in which I am only knitting hats right now, and I am not apologizing. I am loving it, but let's get into my reasons why. Reason number one is I am currently on the road part-time in our RV. We were full-time for almost 6 years, but now we're only part-time, and I've got 8 months of travel, and I absolutely want to be doing as much travel, seeing as many things as possible in those 8 months. And I didn't want to be working on stressful projects. I didn't want to be working on big sweaters or blankets or things that required a lot of thought, because my energy right now is on travel and seeing the country. And we're doing, I think, 9 states during this 8 months. And I want to do as much and see as much as I can. And I didn't want to be worried about having big projects, big sweaters, big blankets, lugging them around. So when you live in 200 square feet, whether it's part-time or full-time, you got to be selective about what you bring with you. And I decided I just wanted to do hats this trip. I am in my hat era and I am loving it. Reason number two is I am constantly knitting no matter where I am, whether I am at the zoo or on a boat or in a museum. I am constantly knitting because I love knitting, but I also want to go do all these things, and I don't want to be lugging a sweater around. Sweaters, blankets, even cowls and scarves can take up a lot of space, and they are not easy to take with you when you want to go spend the day at the zoo or on a boat. And so yeah, knitting hats is a really great option to where you can take that project with you literally anywhere, pull it out when you've got some free time and work on it, whether you're watching a sunset or just sitting by a waterfall. Hats are a really great project that don't require a lot of thought, a lot of energy, and most importantly, are not heavy and don't take up a lot of space. Now, I do know some people that would say, well, why don't you do sock knitting? Because socks also take up very little space, and the complete honest truth is I don't enjoy knitting socks. I have knit many a pair in my time, and I have never enjoyed any of them. So I know people love knitting socks, and if that's for you, that's awesome. It's just not for me. I'll do a sock once in a while, but for the most part, it's not my jam. Reason number three is even though we're in the northern part of the US right now, it is still really warm. Like, I'm looking at my temperature gauge right now and it is 82 degrees inside the RV. The AC has been blasting all day, and outside it is 89 degrees, which isn't that hot. I know back in Nevada, which is where I'm from, it's like 111. And so I know 89 is not that hot, but when you're in an RV, it's basically like a tin can baking in the sun. It gets really warm and it's very hard to keep it cool. So 82 degrees inside is not too bad. That's also why I'm wearing a cotton hat. I do wear hats all the time. That's another reason coming up. But I don't want to be having a sweater sitting on my lap or a blanket or even a scarf or a cowl. It's not enjoyable. A hat never has to sit on my lap. It never makes me too warm to be sitting and knitting. And so if it's 105 degrees outside, and it's like 85 inside the RV and I'm trying to keep cool, I can still knit a hat and not have to worry about that weight of that heat sitting on my lap. So hats are the perfect project for sitting and knitting when it's warm, and I don't get overheated because even if it's 105 degrees outside, I am still going to be knitting. Reason number four is I just love wearing hats. Right now, I am not doing a whole lot of knitting for the film industry or for other people. I've sort of taken a very big step back from all of that because it was just getting too stressful, too overwhelming. I knew I was going to be on the road and wanting to enjoy it and not be sitting inside working all the time. And the only thing that I basically wear that I make are hats, sometimes cowls, and I love knitting shawls, but the reality is I just don't wear them. But I do wear hats all the time and I love them. I would probably not be wearing a hat right now, but I put one on for you because I've got some roots going on under there and I need to touch up my pink. So even though it's 82 degrees in here, I'm very comfortable in my cotton hat, and my wool yarn I'm still knitting. And if it's something that I enjoy not only making but also wearing, it's going to be something that I make a lot of. So yeah, got a lot of hats in my collection, got a lot of hats that I've been designing, a lot of hats in the works, and I'm good with that. Quick note as I'm editing this video, first of all, don't be looking at my roots. I know that's what you're looking at. Look away. But I can't believe I forgot to mention this. I've had so many people ask me recently about wanting to learn how to knit, and I am working on a 15 episode series of how to knit. But not only is it how to knit, and I'm going to be teaching you one technique in all of those 15 episodes, all the way up to how to knit a hat, is I'm going to be showing you these techniques from places all over the country with really beautiful backdrops. So you're going to want to make sure you click subscribe, because I am going to have an amazing time filming this 15 episode series in all beautiful parts of this country. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to learn how to knit, because I'm going to show you, and I'm going to do it the only way I know how, which is somewhere beautiful. And reason number 5 is hats are a really great way to experiment with new techniques or new stitch patterns. Even though I've been knitting for over 20 years and I've been designing for like almost that amount of time, probably 15 years, I still really love to play with new designs, new stitch techniques, and test things out. And I don't want to be testing out a stitch pattern on a sweater. So a hat is a great way to decide whether or not you like a stitch pattern, whether you like a technique. There are still techniques and stitch patterns that I want to try playing around with, and hats are a really great way to do that. If you're new to knitting and you want to try a stitch pattern, try it on a hat first. If you see something that you really like in a sweater, throw it into a hat and see if you, first of all, if it doesn't stress you out and make you miserable. And then also if you just enjoy working it and like the way it looks. So hats are a great way to do that. And so yes, person out there that said I am knitting a lot of hats, I am, and I'm good with that. And I do have on my Patreon page a hat collection. It's the Wandering Hat Collection. And I put all of my hat patterns in there. For one price, you get all of my hat patterns as well as any future hat patterns at no additional cost. The more I design, the more patterns I put in there, the higher the price gets. So you can lock in that price now and pay once and get all of my hat patterns. And I don't know if it's going to be 20 patterns or 50 patterns, but I definitely am going to be putting more patterns in there. So that's an option for you. And if you love to knit hats as much as I do, don't ever apologize for it. I have met people who've only ever knit scarves because they never learned how to increase or decrease and don't care to and don't want to. I am so happy for them that they're just enjoying the process, and it does not matter what you're making as long as it makes you happy. All that being said, I would really love to know, what is the garment that you absolutely love to make? Are you a sock knitter? Are you a hat knitter? Are you a cowl knitter? Do you really love making sweaters? I mean, I have full respect for you if you are a full-on sweater knitter and you wear them. You have to remember, I live in Nevada for half the year, and it's not that cold there. It never gets cold enough to have an entire collection of sweaters. So if you have a particular garment that you love to create, you love to knit or crochet, let me know in the comments below. I would love to know what that one thing is that you can't stop making. We all have that one thing we love. For me, right now, it's hats. I would love to know what yours is, so comment below and let me know. So there you go. Those are my reasons, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And if you are a hat knitter, stick around. I've got a very quick tip for you at the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe below. I would love to have you join me on this adventure. I am on a quest to check off 1,000 bucket list adventures, and those adventures are going to be all over the world. The RV is going to take me to some of them. I've got international trips planned, and I've got a few surprises in the future that I'm pretty excited about. And of course, I will always have my yarn with me no matter where I go. So if you're a knitter or a crocheter that loves to travel, this channel's for you. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you on the next adventure. Bye. Here's the pattern that I've been working on in this video, and as you can see, even though I have joined to start working in the round and I'm working my ribbing, I have not placed a beginning of round stitch marker. I don't add my beginning of round stitch marker until I'm actually ready to start working an actual pattern that is not just a rib. And so I'm going to continue working this until the pattern states to change to a larger needle and start working a pattern, and that way I can just knit one, purl one in the round without being interrupted by a stitch marker. And then at the point when I'm ready to put that stitch marker in, look for where my tail's at, go up, and that's where I'll put my stitch marker in and be ready to start working the pattern. So even though the pattern always usually states to put your beginning of round stitch marker in, I personally don't do it until I'm actually ready to start working my pattern.